Does the warmer weather have you itching for a weekend getaway? Take your Illinois Farm Bureau membership savings with you.
Farm Bureau members can save up to 20% at choice hotels, including favorites like Comfort Suites, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn and Suites, with even more to choose from.
Call 800-258-2847 or visit the Choice Hotels website to search all the hotels at once and to make advance reservations.
Contact your local County Farm Bureau for your discount code number.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
You're listening to RFD Town and Country Partners, connecting you with the food you eat, the Illinois farmers who grow it, and the food-related events, destinations, and lifestyles that make our state great.
Hey, good day to you. Welcome to Town and Country Partners here on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Rita Frazier here at the Illinois Farm Bureau building in Bloomington. And our studios, we're going to travel to Pike County to say hello to Blake Roderick, Pike Scott County Farm Bureau Manager. And Blake, we're going to look to the stars briefly, then focus on that river. But what can we look to see this week?
Well, I want to go back to your intro there. The route and the route, it's the same thing as creek and crick. If it is a proper noun, it is route. If it's just a road or a running body of water, it's a crick or a route. See, now we got that solved.
Now I feel better.
Yeah, there you go. Tell the lost that.
Yes, we'll get on that. So what about those stars? What's going on?
Well, you know, when you put me on hold to get me started here, you said that you're going to put me in the bucket, which made me think a bucket is kind of like a bowl, right? And follow me here.
I'm
the
with
Big
you.
Dipper. The Big Dipper is, they call that ladle, you know, a ladle or a you know, whatever they the thing is called a bowl. Is what they call those 4 stars that holds the Milky Way, so to speak. And the 2 stars on the outside are they're called Merrick, and it's spelled Doobie He, which could be Doobie, but we're not going to go there. It's actually like in Dead Debbie is how that's actually pronounced. But if you take a line from those two stars and point it towards straight down, it points to Polaris, which is the end star of the Little Dipper, and Polaris, of course, is the North Star. Right now, the Big Dipper at night is pointed upside down, which means it's emptying itself into the Big Dipper or into the Milky Way. And the middle of winter, first part of winter, it's looking straight up, and the Milky Way is going straight up. So, anyway, little there on the stars. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Easter. People wonder how is Easter determined? And Easter's determined, it's always the first Sunday after the first full moon of the spring. And so we had spring, actually the vernal equinox was on March 20th. Interesting enough, we also had a full moon on March 20th, which could be said it's the first full moon of spring. But the church, that I guess the Catholic Church that determines when Easter is, they say that the vernal equinox starts on March 21st, no matter when it is. It's always March 21st. So that was March 20th was not the first full moon of spring. The first full moon of spring will be, I think, April 19th is when that first full moon of spring will be. Of course, Easter will immediately follow that Sunday afterwards. This goes back hundreds, thousands of years to determine when Easter arrives, and I think that the Jewish calendar is very similar to that, also in determining when Passover comes around, also.
Very interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up, because here within the last few weeks, heard a few folks say, it seems like when Easter's later, we have a later spring out in the fields. Any truth to that?
I have no idea. All I know is it rained, and looks like next week it's going to rain some more, and we're getting behind again.
Yeah.
And we're not only getting behind in the field work, but we've got other concerns in our area due to rain.
Yeah.
And of course, we're here on the Mississippi and Illinois rivers, and I'm sure that folks will want to hear what is going on over here.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we'd love to get an update, because really we talk about you looking to the stars and looking for agriculture, but you have a lot at stake with that river.
Yeah, we've between my two counties, Pike and Scott, we have probably about 180,000. Close to 200,000 of acres of farmland, which are behind levees. So we're very cognizant of the weather. We're very concerned when it starts to rain at the same time that we get snow melt up north, and all those come together, and we have potential for flooding. Right now, the rivers are within their banks. The Mississippi River is going down. The Illinois River is going up because of the recent rains that we have, but it'll steady out. Illinois is not as big a concern right now as the Mississippi is. Mississippi River, we weren't, it wasn't impacted as greatly by that bomb cyclone that devastated our neighbors out to the west in Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri and other places. I hear 1 million acres is impacted by floodwaters, which is it's hard to fathom that. But we weren't directly impacted by that because it's kind of stayed in the Missouri River Basin and didn't come over into the Mississippi. But what is impacting us is the great amount of snow that's up in the upper Mississippi Basin that's been melting and making its way down. The flooding that happened up on the Rock River is here and is passing by. So we're seeing the water levels starting to go down. But the concern is they'll stay high throughout the month of April. And when you've got high water on the levees for a extended period of time, it starts to work on those levees, and it is a concern. Hopefully this will pass by. We won't get a whole bunch of heavy rains in Iowa and up basin, but it is a concern right now. But the rivers are manageable. And the condition of the levees up and down, especially for Illinois, is always a concern, right? Yeah. On our Illinois River, they are sod levees, kind of what you traditionally think of a levees made out of dirt, and it's pretty solid, and they can withstand a lot, but they're lower levees. They can't take a lot of the same type of water rise as you can on the Mississippi, which tend to be a little bit higher. But on the Mississippi River, the levees have a sod core. The original levees were made out of dirt, but then on top of that, back in the 1960s, the Corps of Engineers came in and part of a national project and built up the levees, and a lot of them are made out of sand, topped off with sand. It's wide, but amazingly, sand can hold back water, but it doesn't hold back water as long as we need them to hold back if the water's on them for a long time. Now, you just this past summer marked the 25th anniversary of the 1993 flood. How does this spring compare then as you look back to 93? Yeah, it's the same. We're right there. We're observing the same kind of conditions. High water on the levees. April was we had issues with the levees in April of '93. Water went back down, and then summer we had in late June through July a lot of heavy rain up in Iowa, and some big rains that came down and caused the disastrous flooding on that was the flood of 1993. It started out pretty much the same way, but we're hoping that this year it won't end up the same way.
For sure. A minute and a half remains, and while you watch the river, you're also talking to your farmers in Pike and Scott counties about when they can actually get into the fields. What are you thinking?
We were kind of hoping they would be in selfishly. I've had enough of meetings here for the winter, but hoping they could get in this week. But we had rains over the weekend, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. It's keeping them out. Warm temperatures aren't warm enough. It's going to start raining again tomorrow, it sounds like, and then next week looks like it's rainy. They're a bit disheartened at this point in time. Some of the prime time to get the crop in the ground is passing them, is close to passing them by, and they'd like to get in the field, and it's general to this whole western side of the state right now. And
what is late to you guys? I know everybody's trying to get in earlier and earlier to plant, but what's late for Pike County?
Now is late. They're usually the end of March. People are starting to plant, but if they don't get it in here in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will definitely be late for them. Especially some of the River Valley farms, you can get into them sooner than some of the hill ground, but if you're taking 2 weeks out of April and not being able to get the crop in the ground, on top of the fact that it was wet last fall and they couldn't get a lot of their fall field work done, so they've got that on top of planting, and it's all going to come together at the same time. So it's going to be pretty hectic in rural Route, Illinois.
Well, Blake, appreciate your time. It's come and gone. Blake Broderick, Pike Scott County Farm Bureau, looking to the stars and the river. Thanks for the update. We'll be back with more Town and Country Partners.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Kay Shipman connects rural routes for you. For 3 decades, Kay has delivered important news. She covers everything from legislative issues to the latest in soil and water conservation. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I love covering so many aspects of agriculture and providing readers with the facts they need to make better decisions. I also get to work with farmers and meet new people along the way.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com and Farm Week keep you connected.
All Ag.
All Illinois.
All Now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All Ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
With what happens on the farm can impact your family and is related to food, I'm Mike Orso with RFD, Town and Country Partners. Many self-employed Illinoisans, farmers included, have watched the cost of health insurance skyrocket. A little over a year ago, its voting delegates asked Illinois Farm Bureau to examine options to provide relief, and the organization created a working group of farmers to tackle the issue. One solution could be offering farmers access to an association health care plan. Ogle County farmer Brian Duncan leads the effort.
The word is encouraging. We continue to meet and have discussions with providers, with multiple providers actually, who are feeling positively about an association health plan.
Many farm family members have off-farm jobs, in part to have access to health insurance. But in a survey of Illinois farmers conducted late last year, nearly half indicated they don't have health insurance provided by someone who works off the farm. A third indicated they spend more than $10,000 a year for coverage. Stories of a farm family paying $25,000 annually are not uncommon. Duncan, who serves as vice president of the Illinois Farm Bureau, says the organization's health care working group also examined options under the federal Affordable Care Act.
The example we looked at in the health care working group was a family of 4 from McLean County making $104,000 a year, still qualified for very significant subsidies to buy a bronze plan on the ACA. So as we have members who need health insurance solutions immediately.
Researching health insurance options online can be confusing too. with numerous websites that act nothing more than an aggregator of health insurance brokers.
Just make sure you research, take your time, be diligent in your research of all the options.
As far as association health plans, the tricky part, like most health insurance, will be to design something that can be successful over the long run.
I still think we can put something together that would be of value to our members, or at least we are going to work very hard at putting something together that would still have value for our members that would be feasible in the state of Illinois.
Illinois Farm Bureau Vice President Brian Duncan says his group hopes to make a recommendation for his colleagues on its board of directors to consider later this year. Do you have a farm, family, or food-related destination, event, or issue like this one others should know about? If so, email us at news@ilfb.org. For RFD Town and Country Partners, I'm Mike Orso.
It's where your home is built, your landscape is planted, and your children play. Land is all around us, so Illinois farmers have dedicated years to learning how to best care for it. Today, we're bridging modern knowledge with resources from Mother Nature to promote natural soil activity and choosing crops that enhance soil health. To learn more about conservation efforts, visit ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau. Clean water matters to all of us. For years, farmers have been calling for clean water and clear rules because we know it's possible to have both. Now is the time to make your voice heard. Text WATERS to 52886 and support the new clean water rule proposed by the EPA and Army Corps. Don't wait. The 60-day comment period has begun, so text WATERS to 52886. Contact your local county farm bureau for more information on clean water and clear rules.
Hey, we're back here on Town and Country Partners. So from Pike County, we're going to head up to Knox County. We're going to check in with Drew DeSutter. Drew is featured in a recent edition of Partners Magazine. How are you there, Drew?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Have you heard a lot of feedback from that little article? It says, Ask a Farmer.
Yeah, a little bit. I've got a group chat with some friends, and they saw it, and we're talking about it a little bit.
Well, our hope is on this program to do sort of what the Partners Magazine does, and that is talk to not only farm folks, but also those who live in rural communities throughout the state, and they receive this Partners Magazine, and we're trying to say, hey, what do you do to prepare the soil for planting? So with your description, what's the easiest way to describe, how to make that good seed bed?
Well, we're no-till, and we have been using that practice for probably 25 to 30 years. And our soil profile, it just works really well for us. We've kind of got some little bit of gently rolling ground, and it seems to keep the soil in place, the topsoil in place. It increases organic matter, and then reduces wind and water erosion. And in years like this past winter, where you've had a lot of frost in the ground and then a lot of snow and a lot of rain, it helps keep that topsoil in place and from washing down the stream.
Now, last fall was challenging for a lot of Illinois farmers, and you didn't get the window that you typically get. So what did that do to your fertilizer application, and, how does that set you up for this year?
Yeah, it was a tough winter. I think last November it was pretty wet and cold, and usually we put on about 75% of our anhydrous, our nitrogen on through anhydrous in the fall, and I think we were about able to get half of that on. Then we do the other 25% just as burn down in our burn down program. So we're a little bit behind, just like everyone else, but hopefully the weather will get a little bit better here in the near future, and we'll be able to finish that up and get our burn down on and get ready to plant.
You're also able to utilize lots of good and up-to-date technology on your farm?
Yeah, we try to maximize our technology as much as possible. We've done a little bit of variable rate fertilizing, a little bit of variable rate planting, and we one of the things that we've been doing as a practice as of late is we've been doing a little bit more farm drainage, and we seem like you can never have enough drainage. And the benefit of farm drainage is it maximizes what you put into the crop. You know, if you have an area that's really wet or too saturated, it doesn't produce as well. So by being able to drain that, you're getting the most value out of your crop that you can.
Now, the picture that's featured in Partners, it's a good one. You're holding one of two daughters. I'm sure that has a lot to do with, what you're doing today, trying to, keep that soil as good as you can for the next generation.
Yeah, and that's another benefit, I think, of no-till and maybe even cover crops down the road is that it does preserve that soil, and it helps your farm be sustainable for generations to come. I think no-till some years may be a little bit more challenging than tillage, but I think year in, year out, it provides a lot of value. And my grandpa always says the longer you do it, the better it becomes, and it does seem to be the case. And I know that if my daughters want to farm someday, you have to keep that ground in as good of or better shape than it is today.
About a minute left here. So you mentioned everybody's sort of behind. What's your best guess on when you might get in the fields in Knox County?
Well, we were kind of drier than most areas, so we were able to do a little bit of anhydrous last week and then just do some soil finishing on some tile lines. And I think that hopefully it gets a little bit warmer in the next week or so. I think the forecast looks a little bit more promising, so hopefully get a little bit of burn down on. And I don't know as far as planning. Usually you think after April 10th or 15th, you get a good spell of weather, you'd like to go out and at least try it. But I think this year we're just kind of a little bit behind, so you're probably looking more towards the later part of April. But weather may just turn and everyone will go at it hard. I think it's going to be fast and furious this spring.
Well, appreciate your time, Drew. Best of luck to you in this upcoming growing season. Again, Drew DeSetter in Knox County. He's featured in the recent edition of the Partners magazine. You can look on page 6. It says, Ask a Farmer. And again, talking about preparing soil for another planting season. Let's preview the rest of the week here on this program. Tomorrow in studio with Tasha Bunting. We'll talk about Illinois Farm Bureau, the livestock industry here in the state, and juggling livestock farming and work here at the Illinois Farm Bureau. We'll have another travel and destination piece. We'll check in with Jim Crowley in the Outdoors program, a new feature here on the network, and we'll catch up with Bill Harmon. Bill is one of 3 advisors at Lincoln Land Community College. They are doing great things there, and they continue to do great things. We'll have an update with Bill. On Thursday, Frank Butterfield is in from Landmarks, Illinois, and we'll check in with Jenny Jackson at the Illinois Pork Producers. Thanks for being a part of this show and our afternoon program on the RFD Radio Network.